Now, remember we talked about a little earlier what RVs are made of? Fiberglass, screws, glue, brads, all kinds of pretty stuff. Well, when it catches on fire and you're inside, I can almost guarantee you that the powder won't work. When a fire is going, what is actually on fire? When you see the flames, what is actually on fire? It's just vapors. Solid, do not burn. Liquids, do not burn. It's the vapors. Remember we talked about 12 volt, 110? Well, 12 volt, as you know, isn't going to shock you, but it can get pretty hot. You'll burn your fingers on it. So if it's laying up against a wood structure, do you suppose it can cause it to char and catch fire? Of course it can. Now, what's interesting about RVs is that travel trailers and fifth wheels are not required to have their 12 volt wiring in conduit, in plastic conduit. Motorhomes are, with the exception of under their dash. Get a Class A gas pull or diesel push and just lift up the dash. And it looks like somebody took a colander of 12 volt wiring and just threw it in. And then you see the metal structures that hold the dash and give it its form and make it look all pretty and everything so that the dog can lay up on the dash. And because it's just put in there willy-nilly, it can rub. I had a 40-foot American Tradition. I had 2 fires and 1 just shorted out. And that was because it was in my dash and it was put in at the factory incorrectly. And so the thing is, 12 volt can cause problems. And this dry powder stuff that you're given isn't going to work. It just is not going to work. Well, what a lot of people would ask me at the end of class, well, Mac, well, what causes RV fires? I mean, well, anything that can cause a house fire can cause an RV fire. Plus, for instance, you have little to no 12 volt wiring in your house. And so there are things that cause fires in a house, and there are things that cause fires in an RV. The 3 most common causes. In a diesel pusher, it's the diesel engine that causes most RV fires. Now, you say, wait a minute, diesel doesn't burn. Really? Tell anybody that's had an engine fire that diesel doesn't burn. When we're done today, and you've still got your computer up and running, go to YouTube. I want you to look up RV graveyard, where RVs go to die in Kentucky. Now, there are many salvage yards, but this one is the largest in North America. It's on 33 acres, and they cater only to motorhomes. And as they take you on the virtual tour, you'll see that the majority of them are engine fires in the rear. What is the next thing? Oh, this is the most common in all RVs. That would be the Norcold refrigerator. Now, why did I say Norcold? Well, they've been in 3 major lawsuits that I'm aware of. It's not the residential ones. That's why they went to residential, is to get rid of the gas electric. But the design of the gas electric has not changed since 1986. And when you have gas and electric, now I'm not talking 110, I'm talking 12 volt, and you put them together in a box, chances are over time, you're going to have a fire. I've seen it literally hundreds of times. The next one, and it's for all RVs, 12 volt wiring, motorhomes especially, up under the dash. Now we're talking Class A motorhomes up under the dash. Travel trailers, fifth wheels, brakes. Now I was just kind of cruising some of the manufacturers here the other day. A lot of them now are going to disc brakes. Are they going to disc brakes because they're your friend? No. They're going to disc brakes because they've had too much trouble with drum brakes with magnets. And they can drag. Robert, do you have 100% brake on all 4 or 6 spots on drum brakes? No, I don't think you have 100%. You actually have to have somebody like Robert actually check them to see if you have 100% brake or have it adjusted. Disc brakes, they're pretty foolproof. If drum brakes with magnets were so great, why don't you see tractor trailer rigs with them? Why is it a drum brake on hydraulics? I'm just saying, keep in mind every year you need to have those checked by somebody that knows what they're doing. Because you can drag a brake, which heats up the drum, which will actually take the bearing grease and can set the bearing grease on fire, and then it welds itself to the spindle. Then you start dragging that tire, and the next thing you know, the tire's on fire. And how do you know it's on fire? Because somebody will drive up next to you, their eyes are as big as saucers, and they're pointing. Yeah, hi, yeah, we're just leaving the RV park. No, if somebody's doing that, they ain't that friendly to us RVers. Pull over, do a walk around, see what's going on. But when you do that, you better have a fire extinguisher in your hand, because it's kind of nasty if you walk up a fire that's on fire, then you have to run back to the truck and get an extinguisher. Because it takes 20 seconds for an RV to be completely involved in fire from the time it starts till the time you find it. 20 seconds is not very long at all. What kind of fire extinguishers are out there? Well, you got your powder ones. Then you got a whole bunch of new stuff. Go to your local fire department, ask them if they are called to your RV fire out on the highway, what are they going to use to put that fiberglass and all that stuff out? They use one thing, foam. That's all they use. Because why do you think these things are made out of fiberglass with rubber roofs? It's to repel water. But when you use foam, it actually can penetrate the fiberglass. So what you're wanting to do is this. Keep in mind, RVers, you're on your own. When seconds count, fire department's only 5, 10, 15 minutes away, depending on where you are. I've done this in the fire service for 35 years. You know how many RVs we've saved? None. None. You know how many RVs have been saved by the RVer because the RVer knows what to do? A bunch. But then they have to be rebuilt. And once you've gone through a fire, it's like, oh, I don't think I want to do this anymore. There are a number of foam fire extinguishers out there to be had. They're most generally all in a 16-ounce container, but not all foams are the same. Now, the fire department uses foam at 1%, 3%, and 6%. But remember, their hose is attached to that great big red truck with as much as 100 gallons of foam on it. You don't have that. So you have to have a foam that will do what it needs to do in the shortest time possible. I'm going to recommend, I don't sell anything anymore, but I'm going to recommend two. One is Firefight Foam out of Orlando, Florida. It's because they do 10% foam. Why so much? Because they're putting this in the hand of a novice. Unless in your other life you retired from firefighting, then you'll understand how foam works and how to use it. But for the most part, let me tell you something. You jump out of your truck or jump out of your RV and it's on fire. That's one of the scariest things that can happen to you in life. And you'll be lucky if you can remember what to do. That's why practicing a little bit will really help. And the other one is FireAide, spelled A-D-E, F-I-R-E-A-D-E. The foam in both of these are pretty much the same and the same percentage. And you can go online. For instance, Firefight is Firefight Foam LLC. And the other one is FireAide Foam. And they have pretty good websites that talk all about this stuff. Now, my suggestion, and it's merely a suggestion, it's why we like being in America and the term freedom, is how many fire extinguishers do we need? Well, in a Class A motorhome, at least 4. We need one at the front door. And believe me, these are not to fight fire. These are just to get you out. That's what you need to concentrate on. That's why you have insurance. Let the insurance take care of the motorhome or RV. You get out. But one at the front door, one in the kitchen, one in the tow vehicle, and one in the bedroom. Well, Mac, why do I need one in the bedroom?
Gotta get out.
Remember I told you we're going to talk about escaping? We'll talk about that again later. Fifth wheel, pretty much the same. A minimum of 4. Now, if you're in a Class C, and it's you and your partner, or maybe you by yourself, or you and an animal, you could probably get away with 3. Now, if you're towing, you might want the 4th one, and that would be in your tow vehicle. In the 5th wheel, I talk about having 4, one in the truck, one at the front door, one in the bedroom, and one in the kitchen cabinet. People say, well, why do I need one in the kitchen cabinet? My kitchen is right there at the front door. Think about this. Going down the road, somebody's waving, you stop, you got a wheel on fire. What's the first fire extinguisher you're going to grab? The one in the truck. So if there's 2 of you, the second person will go around to the door of the trailer or the 5th wheel and grab that one that's at the door and come around and assist. Well, maybe you didn't need to use that one. So that one goes in the truck. What about the one at the front door? Well, that's the one you reach up and take out of the kitchen cabinet, put at the front door. Now you're ready to go again. And it'll probably be a couple hours before you're ready to go again because you're shaking so bad. But the point is, the only reason you have fire extinguishers is to save your life. That's it. So knowing how to use them. And there's I was on the computer yesterday and went through a lot of, because I was looking for fire safety stuff. Is there anybody doing it since I'm not? And there was a young couple on there that were doing it, but they left huge holes in what they talked about. They, for instance, talked about the dry powder extinguishers, but they didn't show how to check them. They didn't show how to use them. They talked about smoke and CO alarms, but they didn't talk about why you should have this one instead of this one, or what kind of smoke is here and there, and all kinds of stuff. What a lot of people don't realize is that in an RV fire, you have 3 times as much cyanide gas in an RV fire as you do a house fire. Why is that? It's what they're made out of. Where does cyanide gas come from? Plastics. How much plastic is in your RV? A lot. The glue. A lot of arson investigators, if they try to investigate an RV fire, they get confused by what looks like a pour pattern and don't realize it until they actually go to the factory and look at it. That's the glue pattern. Now, when that glue is put down, it's flammable, highly flammable, while it's liquid. But when it dries, it's no longer flammable. What happens when it gets hot? It's flammable again because it goes back to liquid. And so we're in these things and we don't think about exactly what's going on, and we're not paying attention to what's going on when it comes to a fire. Fire extinguishers, everybody needs them. You need the right one, and you need to know what it is capable of doing and not doing. To put out a liquid fire, you first have to seal over the liquid or cool it down. Dry powder doesn't do that. If you got a wood fire, you got to be able to penetrate the wood to cool it down. Dry powder doesn't do that. Water will for the wood, but it doesn't do anything for the flammable or combustible liquid. That's where the foam comes in.